I'm just going to say, or rather play around with an idea that I have that has no scientific backing or anything. I'm not a scientist, I'm not intelligent, I'm not smart. More just a guy with nothing but free time and insatiable need to talk to himself. Sorry, thought somebody was coming. And that is a fundamental law that I believe personally, that nothing can truly not exist. That there is no such thing as true nothingness of or non-existence. That the universe itself is in a state of both existence and non-existence. Case in point, even before the Big Bang, even before everything else, it's a common creation thought that time, that space can't exist without time. That time and space are interchangeable, and that you have to have one or the other, or it can't be. They'll say things like, I don't even remember. I used to watch them all the time back when I, was in my super anti-religion atheist phase that a lot of teenagers go through sometime. Not all of them, but the ones that are so obsessed with being better than who they are right now, but they don't have anything else to go for them. They only have their own wrong ideas of supremacy and ideas that they're not liked because they're different and that they're better than other people. That's the reason why. It's this cognitive dissonance, this need to be acceptable, this need to be good to counteract all the negativity that you feel inside your head of not being enough or not being good or not being wanted, which is another topic for another video. I will say that I'm out of that stage, that I'm still agnostic. I don't particularly believe in any God or any absence of God. I don't choose to care. I choose to live my life separate from that, but that's not the point. Just that it doesn't change anything for me personally. That life will continue. I'm just not. I just don't. I'm not in that stage of my life anymore. But I used to watch them. Is what the point was, and they'd always say things like, "You cannot have space without time, time without space," and all that. And I believe that you can't have time without something to reference, and time could or couldn't exist. I mean, if you think about it, you can think of time always existing because of other things, because of the state of the universe now to now, that there's always a reference point, that if something doesn't exist now but does exist in the future, that means that time always exists because there's this point and that point. But fundamentally, even if time can't exist without something, even if time itself is super specific on how it can exist, space can exist because space is the absence of things. It's the distance in between things, or the absence of something in a particular point in space. So even with nothing existing, before time, before the Big Bang, nothing exists, there's still that emptiness. There's still that empty space. No light, no nothing. So something always does exist, even when nothing does. Which is just me being roundabout as hell. But what I mean is, you can't say that space can't exist without time. Space always exists. It is a constant. That space and time go together, as time is not a thing, it's more of a reference point, a distance, a measurement of one point to another. Again, I'm not a scientist, I might be completely wrong, but these are based on my ideas. So, but time to me is a reference of distance and how long it takes from something to either change, or rather just how matter changes, either in point of where it is, how it is, the state of it, whatever, and its presence or absence. So time is completely dependent on something being there, of course, but space isn't. Space always is, because space is just that, it's space. Even though I can't see it, there is air in between me and the walls and in my lungs and all around me, but even then, go down to the smallest amount, even the most bare minimum, at emptiness in between. They say we're like 90% space or whatever. I don't research things before I make videos. I don't research things before I talk. I don't care. Because then, if I'm wrong, it's because of an absence of, trying. And not because I read things wrong. I can learn. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't feel invested in my wrong idea. It's better to be No, not always. It's not better to be uninformed, but if you don't particularly care about being wrong, it's better to be uninformed. In cases where it's not detrimental to other people. They're talking, they're loud out there, screaming. Just go down there. I'm easily distracted. Love you too. Oh, okay. Anyway, so if one of the fundamental laws that if there is practically, there is always something. There is always an inverse. If there is nothing, then there is something. That being the point, even if there is nothing, there is something. Space. There is emptiness. There is something. That's a reference point, and therefore time now exists. You know, even if, again, I'm not saying this the best way, but, I mean, think about us. That our entire world and our entire universe is based on our perception. I've never been anywhere else. I am, I'm not going to say my name, but it's probably not that hard to find. Got an easy face, but, you know, whatever. I'm me, no matter what. And I can only experience this if I am me, if everything in my life, everything up until this point, and only this point, happened exactly as it is. Now, that isn't fate, that isn't destiny, that's just how it is. I can only process, this version of me can only process this if these things happened in particular order, exactly how they did. It's just telling you that that's how it is, that's how I came to be. Kind of like just looking back on my life, like flipping through the pages of a book, that, whatever. Does that mean that another version of me could exist and be in this exact spot? Yes. However, even if they're saying the exact same things, if they don't have my exact experiences down to the minutest point, it's not me, it's another. This me, with all of these memories, is experiencing this, nobody else. So anyway, I can't experience the universe, and even though it does exist, even if I'm not here, even if I'm not able to experience it, and it does still exist, it doesn't exist to me. It isn't, but it is. And that's the whole point of what I'm trying to say, that this is my unresearched, unsupported idea that there always is and isn't at the same time, that the universe is in a state where it does and doesn't exist. For if there is one thing, there always is another. Because there can be. There's no law that says that there can't. You know? There's always the inverse in some way or some form. And if you believe in multiple universes like I do, and again, that's why I get angry at time in time travel in TV shows and everything, because they always view time as a linear thing. They always view it as, you can't go back in time and kill your grandfather, because how will you be born? Well, simple. You were in a universe that you did exist, where your grandfather wasn't killed, and you went to a different universe where your grandfather was killed and didn't have you. But in order for your matter to be there, specifically, so it just moves, it doesn't create another timeline. The energy that it takes for you to go back in time is just breaching through that barrier, if multiple universes exist, and you go into a different universe that, regardless of what, if you go back in time, unless it's specifically meant for you to be there, like it was a point for your survival or existence or whatever, was detrimental to that you specifically only survived that because in another state you went back in time, whatever, there is no way for you to feasibly, and even then you still go, in my opinion, to a different universe. I don't know, but because that's always so annoying, like whenever, you know, heroes go back in time to stop something. It's like, well, when the future you go back to is just that dimension, and you can't even go back to that future, like to your own universe. Once you leave your universe, I don't think that there's really a way back to that exact universe. I mean, unless you could keep the portal open and literally keep a tether and pull you back into that universe. And because that'd be the only way. Once you're gone, you're out. It's like the universe is a constant flowing stream, and everything that you hold on to, you know, like say you're holding a rock and everything. If you let go of that rock and grab a different one, that rock, or something that floats to make the analogy better instead of something that sinks. Whatever. If you're holding something that floats, an otter, a cat, the garbage, whatever, you know, if it's in America or anywhere in the world, actually, because human beings are disgusting. Whatever. Anyway, so I always had that idea. When I got the idea first, I do believe, from when I cared about being better or smarter because of my own inadequacies, from being, you know, my scrawny, shorter self. Now that I'm tall, obviously my confidence is shot up with my height, actually. So getting better, being better looking than your original self does help you in some degree. But it just comes down to loving yourself. I ramble, there's no point to that. But nobody watches my videos, so it doesn't matter. Bottom line, time and space are not mutually inclusive. They are not dependent on one another. That you don't need one. I mean, in some way, probably. There's some astrophysicists that, if at all, would ever come across this video and watch it and is grinding his teeth because of how wrong I am and can prove it, then fine by me. It's my idea. I'll gladly be wrong. You know, if I'm stabbed and I think I'm gonna die, and someone says, like a doctor comes over and it's like looks at the wound, it's like, oh no, it's not fatal, you're not gonna die, I just need to take you back to the hospital, and I go, no, the only thing that'll heal me is my healing crystals. And he goes, no, you're wrong, those won't help you. And I die. I'm okay with being wrong. I'd rather be wrong and he helped me, but whatever. I don't know why he would let me die. Just to prove a point. Maybe because of the crystals. Yeah, up until that point, until I said crystals, he was like, I gotta save this guy. You know what? Never mind. This guy can die. But anyway. Space exists no matter what, because it's not some tangible thing. It is and isn't. You know what I mean? Yes, space is. It can be bent and things like that, gravity and all that, but maybe that's bending something else. That there is still such thing as emptiness, and even without space being this flexible plastic that can be bent at any angle. And that's another thing. I don't think gravity, because they always draw gravity as bending it like this. I think it bends space-time inwardly, and that's why things are pulled inwardly. It's bending space-time in all directions towards itself because of its mass. It's literally pulling space inward. So it's not that, and I think that they know that, you know, but every time I see the infographic, they just show space being bent like this, and that's why things circle around and being drawn to the center. But maybe that's not how, because if it was being bent at all angles, would it really effectively? Well, yeah, because if every object is doing that at the same time, everything that has mass is doing that to some degree. Yeah, and their wavelength. I'm thinking right now. I don't know anything. Just getting all my transgressions about different things that I've seen. Again, I'm not smart. I'm just a guy. But bottom lines, most important things. Stop feeling, needing to be better than everybody else. It's not good for you. It only makes you a dickhead. No matter what it is, you're stronger, faster, smarter, it doesn't matter. Even if you are those things, it really doesn't matter. Space always exists. There's always something. And if something can exist, then that means that there's another state of its existence at some point. So no matter what state it's in right now, there can be another state of it. So as long as space exists, as emptiness, there can be a space filled with a lot of shit. As in proof. And I also think that the Big Bang was just one giant ass star. I mean, they'd see big stars and everything, and somewhere in the center of our universe is this unbelievably dense black hole. I'm talking like massive. But they say space is expanding. Well, maybe that's because we are too far from its pull. I mean, there'd have to be, like, this is miles and miles. It's an unbelievably vast distance, and we are just at the end of that. So far. Or where the energy or maybe everything will come back together and be pulled back in at some point in the universe. But it's just that because it takes so long for that eventual pull, because we're still feeling the effect of the expansion of that gas, the expansion of that, everything dies out before it actually comes back together because of the distance it takes. But I mean, because if you think about it, every time that they look at the end, they say it's highly radioactive. It was this yellow orange color, or something like that, cosmic cream. It was a creamy color or whatever. I think everything points to it being a giant, giant, giant ass star. I mean, Betelgeuse is one of the stars in our universe. We're like, our star is like this, and that thing is like fucking there. My idea, because they say that there's no limit to how much energy something can be added, how much heat can be added. There can always be more and more and more. You can keep adding energy. You know, does that mean that at some point the size will become unstable? Maybe those stars decay faster. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not smart, or rather, I didn't study. It's not that I'm not smart. It's just I don't study that. I've never studied it, and I've never learned it. Maybe if I spent years learning it, I could do it. But right now, I have no idea. But those are my ideas. That's how it is. I don't know what fabric of space is made of. I don't know if it actually affects space itself. I don't know what is and isn't. But those are my ideas from what limited amount of learning I have, limited amount of knowledge of space, a limited amount of my human monkey or ape brain, or apes. Monkeys are shitty and terrible. Fuck monkeys. This post was made by Monkey Ape Gang. Imagine diverging from rodents. Imagine diverging from other mammals and not evolving into the most powerful or most dominant species on the planet. This post was made by the Human Gang. Human Ape Gang. Anyway, that right there should just disqualify for me from ever getting views on anything I have. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I don't know, I don't know. Don't take this at face value. Don't think, oh my god, he's right. Even if you agree with me, just think, oh, I like that idea. I like that. I hope he's right. I hope that somebody proves him right. But yeah, so those ideas. Space always exists. There's always something. If there is always something, there is an alternate version of that something. And even if there isn't anything, there is an option, and there's an opposite of that something, which is that empty space. That space exists. Constant. It's a constant, no matter what. Because without something being there, there is emptiness. It's easier for people to imagine things not existing as like, there's it just doesn't, there's nothing, not even emptiness, there's just nothing. How? You know what I mean? Well then, but that means that God was there. Even then, even if you believe in God, I mean, that means that there's a space right there because he exists, right? So does the space around him or in him, or that if it, because it's sentient amount of power, that means that there is something there. So my theory still holds up. Space always exists. Sorry, you're wrong. Space. Anyway, every time I hear sounds, they distract me. That's my idea. Look, I actually made a video that's I always make these videos, and I ramble so long that they go on for an hour, and I never say all my ideas, and I actually got to say all of them in under 20 minutes. Amazing. So these will be my final things. Space always exists. Gravity is inward. It always pulls everything in equal amounts everywhere at all times. It's pulling at Newton's law. So I think gravity isn't pushing downward and creating like, but it's just the easiest way to explain it when you're using balls and marbles and shit. But it's pulling everything equally inward to a single point where all of it's being concentrated. So therefore, it's doing that to everything else, and where you're whatever. Anyway, Big Bang was just a giant ass star, and then maybe that it goes on forever and ever, that there's always bigger and bigger and bigger stars. Maybe not. That one's not really solid. Time is a measure of distance, or the measure of matter changing. It's a matter. It's the state of something. It's not a tangible thing that you can walk across, not in my opinion. And if you can, you go to a different one. Okay, I gotta end the video because I want to do it under 20 minutes. Thank you.